Hopefully I should be able to fix it in post. Maybe. Let me... Howdy, this is Tuesday, March 20th, 2018, and this is episode 69 of Due for a Win, the Atlantic City and Casino Biz podcast. I'm Kyle Askin, joined by a special guest, Elinor Comlay of Route 40. How you doing,
Hi.
Elinor?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, I can't complain. So, just a couple notes. As most of you probably know, Craig had a baby a few weeks ago, so he is out for this episode and maybe one or two more. So I'm taking over. So sorry if you're expecting Craig. We'll have to do our best to make you happy with what I have set up. So I have Elinor on today, who's a frequent contributor to our Facebook group and writes her website, I guess, about Atlantic City and South Jersey news, Route 40. So do you want to kind of start by telling us what Route 40 is, Elinor, and how it began?
Yeah, so Route 40 is an online news site that I run with my husband, Bill Sprouse. We met more than 10 years ago now in New York. We've both been journalists for a long time. We were working as journalists in New York. And obviously, I'm not from Atlantic City, but Bill is. And we used to sit across from each other. And one of the things that we first talked about when we met was how we miss living next to the ocean. I'm from a similarly kind of depressed seaside town in the UK called Portsmouth. It's a little bit bigger, a little different in a few ways, but we both kind of missed the grimness of the seaside resort life. And we talked for years about how it would be great if we could move back to where one of us was from. I was always in favor of Atlantic City because the weather is generally better than it is in the UK. And we thought it would be great if we could try and help fix the local journalism issue and be local journalists. So yeah, that was kind of the early beginnings of Route 40. And then a couple of years ago, after stints in Mexico City and working for some other news organizations, we had saved up some money and decided to move back here where Bill's family is from. And we started Route 40 by ourselves.
So, for you, coming from kind of a depressed seaside town, was it an easy transition to move to a kind of a different, depressed, a bit run-down seaside town?
I like to think that I was prepared for the kind of the off-season depression that you get from living in a resort where everybody has gone home. Mm-hmm. But it was still a big adjustment. We both had previously lived for the last however many years in big cities. So I think actually the biggest thing is that even the biggest adjustment has been that even though Atlantic City is technically a city, it's very small town, especially when it's not full of summer visitors. And so that's been a major adjustment in a whole load of ways.
So you actually just moved to Atlantic City from Ventnor, right?
Yeah, we were living in Ventnor when we first moved here. Mm-hmm. And it's funny, we had no idea where exactly we would move to. Bill grew up in Atlantic City, in Chelsea Village, in fact. But his parents moved offshore, as they call it, when he was 10. So we didn't know if we would be up for living in Atlantic City, but we're really glad that we made the move. And for us, it's been it's been kind of a very reviving to have the city feel again, to like see people on the streets and hear city noises. We really like that part of Atlantic City. I know there are a lot of people that don't, but yeah, that's what we like.
So was it like a big difference between Ventnor and Atlantic City in terms of the number of people around and?
I think so. I mean, we were living in a beach house that really wasn't meant to be lived in year round, and it was a quiet street, and it was only a few blocks from the beach. So it's great in the summertime when there's people around, but in the winter it was really depressing. Now we live on one of the main thoroughfares in Atlantic City. We see people all the time. There are buses, there's jitneys, there's a lot more going on. There are shops and things, which Ventnor is just a bit quieter. Even though you talk to somebody from Margate or Longport further down the same island, and they all think that Ventnor is more or less an extension of Atlantic City.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, as you know, our podcast is kind of created by tourists. That's what me and Craig essentially are. And it's, most of our listener base, not all. There are some locals that listen to the show, but I think most of the people who listen are people who experience Atlantic City only as a tourist. So What is it like living there?
Well, I think everybody would still think that I'm a tourist. They're very particular about who is local and who is not, and what your local credentials are. That seems to come up pretty often.
You have to show your card that says you're at a local Atlantic City local.
You literally do. And preferably you have to be wearing a Respect Atlantic City hat and a t-shirt. It's funny. I mean, we have this conversation a lot. Where I would say we're pretty good friends with the Ganters who run Little Water Distillery. And we did an event a while back with Mark Ganter, and he was saying that that there is kind of people who consider themselves to be Atlantic City locals can be kind of unfriendly toward the tourists and people from outside. But the problem is that you can't see. I mean, so the people who are from here are either seem to be on kind of two polar opposites of the spectrum. They're either huge fans of Atlantic City and they're constantly blowing up the next big project, or they're so down on their own hometown that it's just unbelievably depressing to talk to them. So Mark Ganter from the distillery was saying, when you're from the outside, you can see the good and the bad. It's much easier to have a kind of a more neutral perspective on the city, and to see what's great about it, and also what you've seen work elsewhere, and ways that the city could kind of work better. And I think it's really true. I think that there are actually a lot of immigrants in Atlantic City that their voices are almost never heard. And I mean, they're not often heard in kind of public media. And there are a lot of people who've moved here and live here for a reason. And I think the local residents, it's hard for them to lose sight of it's easy for them to lose sight of that. To lose sight of the reasons why it's actually a nice place to live.
So as a local, I mean, I know we talked about when you lived in Ventnor, that it was very quiet in the off season on your street. Is it kind of a noticeable difference even in Atlantic City itself from summertime to not summertime?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even in not necessarily just on the boardwalk or whatever, but even in other parts of town.
Yeah. I mean, traffic is a beast in the summer. Right now you can go anywhere easily, apart from when the roads are flooded from the last nor'easter,
which might be coming today.
Today. It's really different. I mean, a lot of things closed down, obviously, things on the boardwalk, but also it's it's very hard to tell in Atlantic City whether things have closed down for good or just they're not open for the season, for the winter. A lot of the kind of smaller cafes and the restaurant owners take extended winter holidays. Um, so yeah, there's kind of like a randomness. You never quite know if the place that you want to go to is going to be open or not. And uh, yeah, just generally, it's it's not. I mean, I love living so close to the ocean. I love living so close to the beach, and I love it when it's quiet. But yeah, you definitely know that you're living somewhere where it's built to deal with many more people than are currently here.
Right. So, I mean, something that I think Craig and I both try to do is try to get people outside of the casinos as much as possible when they're visiting
Mm-hmm.
the city. So, what do you recommend as a local that us or any other tourists who happen to be in the city, what should we see that's not necessarily within the walls of a casino?
Oh, what should you see? I mean, I'm like super. I think the boardwalk is just an amazing public amenity. I think like the massive resource of the boardwalk is underplayed a lot. They're actually talking of the boardwalk. They're having another bid to pass an open container ordinance.
I've heard that before, but yeah,
With
it seems
yeah,
like every year they say
with
they're going to pass it. But
yeah. So we'll see, but that could. I think that would be a great thing.
mm-hmm.
Being European, I'm all for public outdoor drinking.
Mm-hmm.
The beer garden did open, and that is actually looking really nice. So I would recommend visiting there. Um, I mean, I love the
This is the bungalow
distillery.
beer garden that you're talking about.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
bungalow beer garden. I love the distillery. I really like the lighthouse is a really cool place to go if you haven't been up there. You get an absolutely unbelievable view, your kind of 360-degree view of the whole island.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, I mean the inlet, I can't get over how much green space there is in the city. Obviously, some of it is not really supposed to be empty or demolished, abandoned lots,
Mm-hmm.
but it is still like a yeah, I don't know. I love I love living here. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other thing that we've recently discovered is just how many amazing Mexican restaurants there are here. So we've been consuming lots and lots of tacos um, and chilaquiles, which are our favorite
Mm-hmm.
Mexican breakfast food.
So,
Yeah.
what can you name one or two of these Mexican restaurants?
Yeah, so the funny thing is that they seem some of them are disguised. Our favorite one at the moment is it's actually called Atlantic Pizza.
Mm-hmm.
But,
Sounds Mexican.
but they do really great nachos and really real Mexican food as well. So they feed all of the local immigrants the Mexican food, and then all of the people who come in for pizza um, get pizza. But the pizza is not as good as the Mexican food. So check out Atlantic Pizza and get the Mexican food.
Where is it?
Uh, it's on Ventnor Avenue. It's a little like in the Chelsea section.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we are also big fans of Baltimore Grill. We had kind of our pre-wedding party at the Baltimore Grill. We spent our wedding night at the Irish pub. Um,
It's
we,
awesome. It's the most Atlantic
there's
City wedding ever.
yeah, the most Atlantic City wedding ever. We got married in Gardeners Basin, so we're big fans of Back Bay Ale House um, and yeah, to me, actually, it just reminds me, I haven't heard much on the redevelopment project of Gardeners Basin, but um, I know that that could all be changed in theory this summer. Um, but yeah, enjoy Gardeners Basin while it's still as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's a good place to take the kids as well. There's an aquarium there that is very cheap. and cheerful, as we would say in the UK, and keeps the kids entertained.
Cool. How long did you guys live in Mexico City?
We lived in Mexico for 5 years.
5 years. So if you say a
Yeah,
place has good Mexican food, you
you'd
have
believe us.
we should believe you.
Yeah, there are two other places. One place that's I think was recently boosted by David Chang,
Mm-hmm.
who I guess is a big important guy in the world of food, is Pancho's, and that's right next door to White House Subs.
Mm-hmm.
In
I've seen
in
it.
my ranking, yeah, it's really good. Um, but I slightly prefer Rincon del Sabor, which is on Pacific Avenue, right, Pacific Avenue in Florida, right behind Boardwalk Hall.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah, those are my top tips.
So is everyone impressed? I mean, presumably you and Bill are both fluent in Spanish, right? Are they all the
Yes.
places impressed when you and him can come in and order in
Yeah,
Spanish?
yeah, I mean, we're constantly talking about how we need to kind of make more. We need to maybe write in Spanish and
Mm-hmm.
kind of do more interviews and stuff in Spanish because there is like a huge Mexican and Spanish speaking community around here. Actually, there's a lot of Dominicans and other Central American residents or former residents around here. But yeah, it's a massive community, and like, I think a lot of people don't really realize it. A lot of people come for the casino jobs and then they stay and do other things. Um, I forgot to mention earlier that actually some of the best tacos are at the Iron Room. And there's kind of a backstory to that, which is that the chef at the Iron Room, whose name I've temporarily forgotten, but he spent time in Oaxaca, which is kind of the nexus of all amazing culinary creations in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And they have we're big fans of the Iron Room in general, but their tacos are really very good.
Cool. So when I kind of scheduled you to come on, I figured we'd talk mostly about all the non-casino stuff in Atlantic City, given that you're a local.
Sure.
But you've actually written a couple gaming stories recently. So
Yeah.
do you want to mention a couple of the stories you've written, and we can talk about them for a little bit?
Yeah, so just yesterday we wrote the story about how Caesars, Bally's, and Harrah's are expecting to lose customers when the Hard Rock and Ocean Resort Casino open. So I kind of dug back through their numbers and found that they have been losing market share for the last couple of years anyway, even in spite of the fact that there's been significantly less competition among the boardwalk casinos. And it's funny, a lot of the feedback we've had on that has been, well, the customer service sucks and their resort fees are really high, and it's not surprising. And I do kind of feel like it's symptomatic of the problem that Atlantic City's casino industry has, which is that, the state and city just gave them, or, last year gave them this major tax break. And they get money whenever they want it from CREDA to kind of pretty up their buildings. And they have this kind of captive audience of grind gamblers, so they just don't really seem to actually have to try to win customers. And I just think that that's the biggest problem that Atlantic City has compared to Vegas and even, the Pennsylvania market or the New York market. Those places are trying to build brands and build a customer base, and a lot of the feeling that you get when you go to places like Caesars and Bally's is that they're just not really trying very hard.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I know that it's something that we've talked about on the podcast a lot since
Yeah.
probably episode 1, that me and Craig have both kind of predicted the next casino to close is going to be Bally's, and I think we still think that's probably the
Yeah.
case. That if a casino closes down in Atlantic City, which, the first 2 months of the year, we'll probably talk more about this in a future episode,
Hmm.
but they have not been good at all for any of the casinos, honestly. But
Yeah. Yeah.
especially for these properties like Bally's.
Yeah. So the funny thing about that though is that the the CEO of Arc Restaurants, which runs Gregory's and another place, a couple of other places in Atlantic City, but one other place in resorts, he said that they had a good start to the year. I'm inclined to believe him, and I actually think that resorts has kind of got another story, which I think they have done a pretty good job of saying that they're the casino and the venue for locals. And I do think that's kind of held up in a little in some ways, and they definitely do have kind of more to show for gains on food and beverage and hotel room stays than some of the other casinos that don't seem to have really tried to build a story or a brand or a marketing campaign
Right.
outside of the casino.
I mean, I believe that it's like 2 weeks from now they're gonna put out the final
Yeah,
2017 like overall profitability
yeah,
numbers, kind of beyond just the
yeah,
gaming numbers, and I think we'll have a better idea of what places are doing
definitely.
once that comes out.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So, what do you expect? I guess in the town or the effects to be once Ocean and Hard Rock end up opening. Like, what do you think the effects on the other casinos are going to be, and on the town itself?
I'm hoping it's going to be a good summer. I mean, obviously everybody is, right? Everybody is really excited about these
Mm.
places finally opening. I do think it's probably going to happen um, later than everybody would like. I remember Hard Rock was originally targeting Memorial Day. I think that's already been pushed back. They're just saying summer 2018. A lot of people around here are already saying it could be kind of July. Um, so it's going to be a shame if they miss a couple of the months of the year earlier in the season. But I think in general, it's always good when people have a more kind of upbeat, positive outlook on Atlantic City. I also think that a lot of people who are familiar with Atlantic City's ups and downs know how to make the most of the ups.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people are pretty skeptical about the even medium term success of these two new casinos. So I think a lot of other small businesses around here are going to be trying to capitalize on this bonanza of a summer. And I think the Caesars Enterprises CEO is exactly right. I do think they're going to really struggle when there's more competition. Um, Tropicana has apparently been kind of just steamrollering up all of the stray customers who used to make their way over to the north end of the boardwalk. So it's going to be interesting to see how Ocean Resort in particular manages to get some of those people who have been coming to this end of the boardwalk.
Right. I know that Craig and I have always sort of worried about Ocean and how they're going to do, given that it seems like, to us at least, and we don't know all the details yet, but it seems like it's just going to be kind of the Revel reopening. I mean, I don't know how much
Yeah,
work they're really doing to it, and the Revel, of
yeah,
course, was a pretty unmitigated disaster.
yeah. I'm sure they'll get a lot of people just to kind of spectate and who want to kind of experience being back inside that building.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're going to have to actually work really hard and come up with some really good ideas to keep those people coming through the doors, I think. Um, yeah. I do think though that one thing they have in their favor is that um, you're looking at the numbers again, at least for the first 3 quarters of last year. The Marina District, I guess the glow on maybe the Borgata is wearing off a little bit, it
Mm-hmm.
seems. And there definitely seem to be more more people coming to the boardwalk casinos. I ride the jitney a lot now, and I'm kind of constantly surprised by how many people casino just seem to really enjoy casino hopping, whether it's to like get a meal at their favorite place, or like try the slots in a different place. Um, and so I do think that that will kind of help bring people up the other end of the boardwalk. So we'll
Right.
see.
Yeah, I do think that if you want Atlantic City as a whole to be more healthy, I think it's beneficial for the city to have more of the success be concentrated on the boardwalk rather than the marina. Which because
Yeah,
the marina, it's kind of like it's not. I mean, it's part of Atlantic City, but it's kind of not. You can't really get to anywhere else in Atlantic City easily from the marina. You have to,
yeah, it's a
get an
pain.
Uber or a Lyft or drive or whatever to get anywhere.
Right, right.
Um, So something else that you mentioned in your story yesterday about the CET properties is all of the money that Caesars is planning on putting more money into Harrah's in the marina, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I mean, I guess you and Craig have talked about, Bally's does seem like it's last on their list for everything.
Mm-hmm.
Um and it is kind of interesting that that they would put money back into the marina property. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. They have that swanky new conference center. I
Right.
guess it's not brand new, but I was actually there last weekend, this past weekend for I guess it was a cheerleading competition. Um, anyway, it was crammed with young girls and their families. So for that kind of thing, I think that's a fantastic thing to have coming into Atlantic City, and I think that putting those kind of events on in the Marina District, if it's drawing people who would otherwise be scared of going to Atlantic City, I think just a great thing. They don't have to deal with the scariness or whatever they perceive as the scariness of a grimy, not so perfect city. They can stay in nice new rooms over at Harrah's, and everybody wins. At least they're coming into the city.
I mean, I think even if you look back when Caesars was going through its whole bankruptcy stuff, I don't know, 5 years ago or whenever that was, they even ended up putting Caesars and Bally's into the bankrupt child company, and Harris was
Mm-hmm.
always in
Mm-hmm.
kind of the
Mm-hmm.
the one that wasn't, you know,
Yeah.
bankrupt.
Yeah.
So it seems like Harris has been kind of their preferred property, I think,
Yes.
for quite a while, and it seems
Yes.
like they are kind of redoubling their efforts to try to make Harris a success.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, which it's strange to me because I mean, for me, when I think of those three properties, I would think that Caesars would be kind of the important one for their brand, but it really just seems like it hasn't been. It seems like they haven't been putting the money into it that they should to make it a success, and it's a bit surprising for me. But
Yeah, I don't understand why either. I mean, it's in such a prime location. It really should have everything going for it, and they just, I think it's made enough money as it is, and they just haven't bothered. That's really what it feels like.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
I
don't
don't
know
even know if
why.
it's that. I mean, it doesn't even seem like it's doing very well right now. So I mean, it seems like if you ask me like what the success stories in the city are, it's Tropicana is the big one. Like they've
Yeah,
been doing very well, and I think to a lesser extent, maybe like Golden Nuggets been doing reasonably well,
yeah,
and
yeah,
resorts.
yeah, yeah. Golden Nugget and resorts. I was saying the other day, it's like the little casinos that could,
Right.
while everybody is like paying attention to the other places, the big ones.
Hmm.
They just keep on chugging along. They have quite loyal followings, I guess. And yeah.
Right. I've talked many times about how I like resorts, and I was actually in the town a couple weeks ago, and I stayed in resorts and had another pleasant stay. It's a nice little casino. So, just to kind of swing back around to Route 40, I mean, we have
Hmm.
talked a bit about it, but about the beginnings of it. So, can you talk about some of the other stuff? Because I'm just curious. Like, it seems like you're branching out from just the journalism into doing like kind of business classes and kind of other stuff like that. Is trying to branch out from just the print journalism like part
Uh-huh.
of your, I guess, plans on making Route 40 a success, and what some of those things are that
Yeah.
you're doing.
So I guess we have two goals. One is to provide information to the community, the Atlantic City area. And the other goal is to create a sustainable local news service. And by sustainable, we mean a business that pays our salaries and hopefully allows us to employ other people and become, a business that gives back to the local community as well. We're a long way away from achieving that second goal, which is obviously also kind of important for us to achieve the first goal. Um, right now we get a little bit of revenue from Route 40 that comes from people saying, "Oh, I really like." Mostly, it comes from people saying, "Oh, I really like what you guys are doing. I'm glad you exist. I want you to keep on existing." Um, and then we're also trying to make money from things like selling T-shirts and holding events where we try and we call them business boot camps. We're basically trying to encourage and foment a community of local entrepreneurs around here. So yeah, we spend a lot of time thinking about what's wrong with the media today, um, as it's hard not to. But our little contribution is to keep this website going, and when we can, we write original stories. So that's, I guess, the other part of it. Our focus is always on writing news that hasn't been covered or written elsewhere. Um, so we don't really see ourselves as competing with anybody. We see ourselves as adding to the existing media landscape here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think anytime you're working on a startup, which it seems kind of like what Route 40 is, I mean, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
a high stress experience, and I think we talked a bit about that before we started. So, I I I just want to know. I mean, just personally for me, like I don't know, like for me, I don't think it would be a good mix to have something like that plus having your co-founder also be your
Be your
spouse,
husband.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, what it seems like that's not the path to marital bliss to me. I mean, what is it like trying to start a company with
Yeah,
your husband?
I mean, it definitely forces you to work on your communication or other issues. And it's not like, we went from not working together and not working in the same place to living and working 24/7
Mm-hmm.
in our in our home, basically. So it's been a big adjustment period. Um, I it's yeah, I totally understand that it sounds really stressful and terrible, but you'd be really surprised how common it is as well. There's so many businesses that are started by couples. I don't know. There must be some reason for that.
So is there? I think you mentioned before we started you wanted to talk a little bit about the polar coaster, kind of
The
something
polar
from way,
coaster.
way back and probably like episode 3 territory for us. So, what is the news on the polar coaster?
So, the news on the polar coaster is that, surprise, surprise, there is no news. Basically, everybody got very excited over the course of a few years as CREDA and then the New Jersey Economic Development Authority kind of rubber stamped this amazing project. Um, but during the course of that rubber stamping, nobody seemed to check in with any of the investors and see whether they actually had the money to do what they wanted to do. And the economic incentives for the project have all come in the form of tax credits. So basically, it seems like they're stalled predictably because there is no money for the project. But it has all the approvals. So
Well, I feel
when
like I can stand in for Craig as well as myself to say we're both shocked at this
shocked,
news that they're not really doing anything
shocked,
on it.
shocked and blown away
It's
that there is
it's kind of
another vacant, still vacant lot. Yeah.
I think, you know, which I don't know. I haven't fully gone back and reassessed my thoughts given the kind of bad start to the year Atlantic City's having, but you know, it'd been something that I've been pushing, that Atlantic City's kind of getting out of like the absolute bottom of what it was, and it seems to be getting a bit better again. But it's just, it seems like, especially back in like the 2015 era, like when it was the bottom, like the kinds of
Mm-hmm.
businessmen that it attracted, like it just seems like it wasn't the highest quality of investor coming into the city, and a lot of people had a
Yeah.
lot of ideas and a lot of talk, and there was not much action really taken.
Right. And then even when you do have like guys like Carl Icahn, they've come here to kind of basically play the debt market rather than to
Right.
actually invest. So yeah, it's the city has had a lot of bad luck.
Yeah, it
That's the
just,
nice
I
way
mean,
of
I think
putting
it's
it.
the people who see these really distressed assets and want to buy them aren't necessarily the kind of people to really try to grow the city or whatever. I mean, I think it's a lot of times just them looking at the
Yeah.
bottom line and
I mean, when
making the
you are
purchase
a
because of
small
that.
business owner here, which we do wear the small business owner hats from time to time, it's really depressing because if you think it, like for the polar coaster tax credits, for example, there were thousands of dollars paid to an external consultant firm that was basically paid and hired to vet the project, and assess its feasibility.
Mm-hmm.
And you'd think that like one of the things they could have looked into was whether it was feasible in terms of, whether the project developers could actually get the money to do it. Um, they don't seem to have looked into that. So now the city is left with this empty lot. And as a small business owner, you just kind of think, well, I could have actually used like a couple of grand could go a really long way for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I honestly don't know how much money was spent with the external consultants hired by the EDA, but I'm sure it was more than a couple of grand.
You know, we've had this polar coaster thing that's going nowhere. We've had two people have bought the Atlantic Club, and then it's turned out that they've had no money to do anything, so they haven't bought the
Yeah.
Atlantic Club. And we've had the whole Glenn Straub situation, and for me, I personally think Bart is kind of in that same boat of someone who's come
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
promising
he gets
stuff
less
and hasn't
attention for
done
it, but
anything.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and the problem, as we see it, and kind of what we see our job to do, is that the institutions here in the city and in the county are so weak. The city and the county have both been kind of enthralled to the casino industry for so long that they just don't have a lot of tools when it comes to getting developers to do what they say they're going to do. Why was Straub allowed to kind of sit in that position for so long, or why why weren't the city, I mean, Straub was kind of Straub was Straub. Maybe that's a bad example, but there are a lot of other projects where the city or the state or the county just aren't able to kind of give them the support that they need. I'm talking about non-casino projects, and then in contrast, there are casino projects that might happen, or this polar coaster project where everybody kind of bends over backwards for them and kind of doesn't do the very basic kind of necessary tasks of checking whether people are legitimate or whether they have the money, and to actually make a project happen.
So, what do you think? What what do you think the impact on the city is going to be when the Stockton College opens, since it's kind of down near you guys? And
Yeah, we're living a few blocks away from there. I'm fascinated. I can't wait to see what happens. Yeah, uh, obviously it's going to change. Um, I mean, it has the potential to be an absolute game changer for the city. I guess I'm such a skeptic that I find it very hard to kind of put aside my skepticism. Um, but yeah, fingers crossed. I hope there are going to be, come September, there are going to be a few hundred kids here every day spending money in local stores and going for coffee and drinks and enjoying the city year round.
well, I mean, I think the
And
last
hopefully,
few years, the last 10 years, maybe it's been kind of you've been better served being a skeptic about Atlantic City than being an optimist. So,
yeah, we'll see. We'll
um,
see.
I guess kind of one last thing that I have to talk to you about is the Tennessee Avenue project. I mean, that's
Yeah.
seems like for me as someone who comes in and it seems like Atlantic City is kind of missing a lot of the stuff, especially like the retail stuff, like coffee shops and yoga studios and everything else they're talking about opening up on Tennessee
Yeah.
Ave. Like, how big of
Yeah, the chocolate
impact is
shop.
that going to make on your life when everything's open? I mean, I know the yoga studio is open.
I mean, this is the thing that, so I think when you're talking about Atlantic City, you get used to talking in terms of billion-dollar projects and the next big thing that's going to save the city. Um, but Elizabeth Tarrant, who was the last um, person in charge of planning and development in the city, she would say that you need to like sprinkle thousands of Tony Baloney's around the city, and I think that's kind of the same with the Tennessee Avenue. It's like they're kind of smaller openings, smaller developments and projects. They're not going to get as much attention as Ocean Resort Casino, but they're also, I think, much more likely to succeed. And they're definitely locally, there's still a huge buzz around them. Everyone is really excited about the chocolate bar that's opening in the next couple of weeks on Tennessee Avenue. We're all looking forward to having a coffee shop. And I'm really looking forward to the beer garden opening there as well. I also go to yoga in the yoga studio there now pretty regularly. So yeah, I'm all on board. I think. I think it's huge. I just hope it can be multiplied. Um, and yeah, that's where I would put my money if I had some.
Do you have any guesses what's going to end up happening with like properties like kind of the city or county owned properties like Bader Field? Do you have any guesses what that's going to turn into,
Oh
or the
man.
MUA, or the water company, stuff like that?
Yeah, so we actually hopefully will publish it this week or next, but we sat down with Mayor Gilliam a few weeks ago now before his most recent political issues started. And he's kind of I mean, he's definitely in favor of holding out on Beta Field until they get like some amazing offer.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm very skeptical on that plan of campaign for Beta Field since that's why it is Beta Field. Uh, everybody's been holding out for so long and nothing's happened.
Right. I mean,
We
I
we have
think that's been
seen,
what Don Guardian was saying too, that he was just waiting
yeah,
because he didn't think he could get full value for any offers for it.
yeah, and I just don't agree with that. I mean, why not just sign a short lease with somebody who actually, I mean, one of the bidders, I'm pretty sure he does have the money. At least, he says he has the money and he has commitment letters. And they're giving him a hard time. But then there's people like the Polar Coaster who, I mean, so this guy's plan for Beta Field seems totally reasonable. It seems great. It's basically like landscape it, have it as an events and music venue. You could have sporting events. It would be a racetrack. It would be a park. All of these things wouldn't actually require a huge amount of money or investment to do. The big chunk of money would go on raising parts of the site, which needs to be done anyway. And yeah, why not let them do that? And then if something else comes along, I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that could make sense if there was some way you could rent it out or lease it out short term, but still have the option to sell it if someone comes along with a big transformational deal and
a much shinier project.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's just depressing having it kind of, as so many other sites are all over the city, empty, pending a shiny project like the polar coaster.
Right.
I mean, it's also like, oh yeah, we've got a shiny project. It's called a polar coaster. It doesn't exist anywhere. We've never seen it before, but let's just hold this piece of land for them. See what happens.
If you'd asked me before we had this interview, I never would have guessed we would have talked so much about the polar coaster. Yeah. I know Craig will be jealous.
It is emblematic for so many things.
I don't know. Is there anything else you want to talk about the city, or kind of reached the end of my list?
No, that's pretty much it. I love it, even in the off season. Get outside the casinos. Go into random shops, even the places that look like pizza restaurants. You never know.
They might have good tacos.
They might have, or even Korean or Vietnamese food. Got it all down here. Yep.
So why don't you kind of let us know, or let the listeners know, how to reach you? I mean, rt40.com is your website, but Twitter.
That's it.
Instagram.
Yep. So we are on Twitter as at root_40. You can find us there. We're very responsive. And you can also find us on Instagram, same handle. And give us a like on Facebook and check out the website. And we love hearing from readers. It's really important for us to get feedback and kind of talk about what we're doing. And we're not really we're absolutely not at all a big media outlet. So if you have an objection to something that we write, or if you like something that we write, let us know, and we can talk to you about it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for coming on. If you want to reach out to Elinor or any of our other listeners, you can do so at our Facebook group at facebook.com/group/do-for-a-win. I mean, at least the gaming related articles you guys write, you usually post there.
Yep.
You can find our website at doforawin.com, find our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn Radio. Reach out to us at Twitter at doforawin. Send questions to doforawin@gmail.com. And as was said before, if you want to reach out to Elinor, rt40forty.com is how you...
There's a contact us button.
Reach their website, Elinor and Bill's. And thank you very much for coming on the program today, Elinor, and thanks for bearing with all of the technical issues we had for the first half hour of trying to record.
It's been a pleasure. Thanks, Charles.
All right. Have a good one, Elinor. All right. We can try this. Thank you again. And sorry for all the...
no worries.
What's up? I guess we can probably just start over. It's not like we got too much the first time.
Uh-huh.
Does that make sense for you?